Thanks for the introduction and thanks for the invitation for this summit. I'm excited to be here, and thanks for the support from the Service Institute, and it's been a great experience working with you guys. So building on years of my community-based projects and my practice in architecture, my overall research, academic research, has been how to involve underrepresented communities to have a say in the design of their own environments. And since 2018, we've been working with Kansas State School for the Blind and Visually Impaired to understand what are the design needs for their educational spaces. One of the things that we've been doing is involving the students, especially the capstone studio that we have, which is 9 credits. It's a lot of hours working with design students who are about to graduate or go to master's degree programs to talk about what are the needs of the students who are visually impaired and how can they engage in designing the spaces that they are studying in. So we talk about oculocentrism, which is the preference of ranking vision over other senses in the Western cultures. This is very specific to the Western cultures, which has created a deficit in other senses. And the understanding of visual impairment, which refers to a loss of vision that cannot be corrected with any eyeglasses or any surgeries or contact lens. So our partnership with Kansas State School for the Blind has been sort of a 4 or 5 year endeavor, which in the past year we've specifically worked with these students and work with the studies of the buildings themselves. As you can see, they serve the entire state of Kansas, and they are proud to have celebrated 150 years of their anniversary in 2017, which makes them one of the oldest schools for visually impairment in the United States, actually. So we created a 4-step process here to not only engage the community, understand their design needs, and engage them with the work that we're doing for the renovation and restoration, and sometimes expansions of their campus. One was research, understanding precedent studies, creating design tools, and engaging those design tools with them. So test those tools with them for knowing what their needs are. We started with inviting their orientation and mobility specialists to come to KU. The images that you see here are the images that their orientation specialist brought different goggles that represent different eye diseases. And we had our students test those out, experiment with the campus, understanding what the campus needs are to be able to understand what the Kansas City School for the Blind needs are. We explore the campus. We, try to, pour coffee and find bus stops, go to auditoriums to see if you can actually navigate with these different goggles, which create this different or stimulate these eye diseases. And as you can see, there's many eye diseases that we looked at. And we're not physicians, we're not, we're just architects, and trying to figure out space within those filters been really eye-opening for us. So our students created these filters. So as soon as we start designing, we have a series of tools that are our filters to be able to see the spaces that we design through these lenses and through the lens of eye diseases. And as you can see, there are many different ways to do that. So we have, for example, a comparison of a full vision with a 10-degree funnel with a 2800 visual acuity, and then 10-degree to fully blind. So these are some of the tools that we created internally for architecture and design students. Then we looked at a series of precedents, and this is an example of a school for visual impairment and blind students in Denver, Colorado. This is designed by Maria Cole. We ended up taking the students to this facility. We looked at how they worked with the challenges of teaching in these environments, and bring a lot of light in. Only 2 to 3% of visually impaired students are fully blind. So light is actually a really important part of their day as navigation tool. So this school has done a great job to use those design tools for the design of their schools. We also looked at Hazelwood School in Glasgow, Scotland, that is designed by Allen Dunlop Architects. They also used the element of light quite a bit. All these schools used thresholds and textures and patterns and sound as their design tools to navigate their students through the school. And these are some of the sketches that our students have done. And we really carefully looked at the spaces and analyzed them and shared those understandings with Kansas State School for the Blind. And I just wanted to put this in as a comparison of two different spaces that the students have to navigate through. On the left side, this is Hazelwood and Anchor School for the Blind, the two examples that I showed. It's a clutter-free space. And to the right, this is a typical kindergarten or first grade class with so much clutter that the students actually don't know what to focus on. And this is not even for visually blind, or visually impaired. This is for just our regular students that create so much chaos in their brain. Our students use those design tools that we analyze and navigated through those precedents and understanding of the goggles, and created these series of design prototypes for a regular classroom setting that could help with the design and navigation of additions and renovations for the Kansas State School for the Blind. Eventually, we looked at some tools. What are the tools that we can engage the community that we're working with? One of the tools that we looked at, which has been very successful, is a tool that a lot of other educators and architects use to work through some of the terminologies that are very architectural based. How do you break those terminologies and how do you relate them to a space? So we looked at creating the tools for that specific purpose. Our tools focused on the systems and spatial qualities and the functionality of those spaces. Every card had an example of a strategy, a design strategy, an image or a diagram that breaks that down, and a picture that resembles what that space will look like. So using visual cues. We are planning to add Braille to these cards in our next steps. Right now, they're really not meant to be used for the visually impaired, but the administrative and the teachers and the staff of those schools. We put a lot of effort into breaking those down, and we created 40 tools or 40 cards to be able to capture everything that we understood, but we refined them to put them in front of Kansas State School for the Blind. So this is the images that you see is from last semester, going through all these cards with Kansas State School for the Blind. These are their teachers, orientation specialists, and their staff, and facilitators. These are and our students, to be able to break down some of the design tools that we talked about, also an engagement of them feeling that they're part of the design. There are several teachers that are visually impaired, so we had descriptions for the teachers to be able to engage with that. One thing that we heard was that for the first time, they thought that they were engaged in a design process in a meaningful way. Previously, there were a lot of architects and designers that worked with them on the renovation and additions of their facilities, but they never had workshops like this to really hear directly from the teachers and staff. It was always sort of a one-sided a conversation that these are the things you need, instead of asking them, what do you need for your spaces? So for the first time, they felt like they're heard, and it created a lot of new cards for us to be able to add to our system of tools, to be able to go back to them hopefully next semester, which we're expanding on the same exact project at a capstone level to just bring back their comments and bring back their understanding and expanding on the tools that we created to engage with the community.